Rattigan, and I'm doing this video as part of the Social Responsibility Project for MBA 710 Leadership and Management, Fall 2016. The course is led by Professor Robert Day. I just want to tell you a little bit about myself before I get in any deeper on this video. I am a communications consultant working for one of the largest health insurance companies in the US outside of Hartford, and I have more than 10 years of professional experience. In my current role, my official title is communication consultant. However, I am serving as a project manager, leading the communications effort as part of the recent acquisition of a Medicare company outside of Kentucky. As far as leadership roles, I've had a few, including training and education efforts for sales in various employee groups. I've also traveled overseas to conduct training, and I've also worked with outside partners such as brokers and consultants, as well as large employer groups. So how would I describe my career development and leadership roles? I started professionally straight out of college in the health insurance industry. And I started at an entry level position working and learning about the company's systems and how we serve our customers. Throughout the years, with the experience and skill sets I developed, I moved into a leadership position that included training and education of new employees and the sales divisions, and eventually becoming a project manager responsible for high visibility projects. Development-wise, I wanted to learn what I didn't know. Personally and professionally, growth was important to me. So I sought out those with knowledge I needed and learned from them. Also, I valued critical feedback. Some people dread critical feedback because they see it as a negative, whereas I found it to be an opportunity for me to learn. Where my weaknesses are and what I should work on to get me to the next level. My career development has mostly involved working to get me to the next level. My career development has involved working with those in senior leadership positions, and often what that involves is often shadowing what they did as a way to learn. And in a way, they were my mentors, although it was not official. For example, the first company I worked for, one of the positions I held was in a department called Producer Development. And in that department, I worked alongside the vice president of the national region. And he was responsible for leading business effort with the company's outside consultant partners. This included a development of business strategies, of course. And I went to him and told him that there were areas I struggled in, such as understanding the basis for certain strategies and how we worked with our consultant partners. So he decided to include me on the monthly in-person meetings with our consultant partners to help me understand how strategies are developed and how they are worked through. I didn't always have a positive view of mentors, but throughout the years, I have come to understand that having the right mentor and also being sure of my career path was important to the success of the mentor-mentee relationship. I asked a lot of questions on what I didn't understand, and I wasn't ashamed to speak up when I didn't know something. What I learned by doing this, and what I hope you would learn if you follow this, is that there will be others that are willing to help when you speak up, because you're demonstrating, as I did, that I was, eager to learn. I wanted to learn, so they were more than happy to help me learn. I would also like to share with you a story about my first leadership role that I think has also shaped my views on leadership throughout the years. My first leadership role was as a technical trainer, training employees overseas in Ireland for the company I was working for at the time. I had the responsibility of training around 30 overseas employees on the company's benefit systems, how to build benefits within the systems to mirror what employer groups purchased from the health insurance company that I worked for. And this is important because when an employee uses their health insurance, we want to make sure that their claims are paid correctly, or if they call in to understand what's covered on their plan, that the customer service representatives would be able to correctly understand their questions, answer their questions rather, and help them understand how these benefits work. So as I said, I had the responsibility of training around 30 employees on these processes and systems. And at the time, I faced various challenges, including cultural ones as well. The food was different, first off, and the dialect was sometimes hard to understand. But what I learned was that I openly spoke to those challenges. I wasn't ashamed, and I wasn't afraid to say, hey guys, sometimes I'm struggling to understand, what you're saying. Or, I'm not sure what to try in the cafeteria. As an American, we are used to different cultures, but sometimes we get stuck in our own little niche, and sometimes we're afraid to try new things, and I'm kind of one of those people. But what I learned and what I experienced was that the group was very open to me because I wasn't afraid to say, hey, I'm having a little difficulty here. And the employee group was more than willing to help me. They gave me pointers on foods that they think I might like, and a lot of them they were absolutely right about. And when speaking to me, they placed a lot of emphasis on speaking more clearly and precisely to make sure I understand what they are asking. In return, I asked them that if there were any questions that they did not understand, to not be afraid to speak up in the moment. You don't have to wait until later, but speak up in the moment. And I placed emphasis on that. There was no question that was a stupid question, because what you don't understand, maybe someone else in the group also doesn't understand, but they're also afraid to speak up. So it could help others in the group. And one of the things I learned was that I had to have an open door policy. And so I put in place an open door policy, whereas anyone can come to me at any time about anything. And I promised that we will work through it together, no matter how long it took. I made a commitment to them to help them develop and to help them grow and learn in the role. And that was a good thing to do, I thought. And it was more than anything else, besides being a good thing, it was also a rewarding experience in collaboration as well. I was a leader, but I wasn't feared. And that broke down a lot of barriers, which you learn is a good thing. So, what I can say to you about if I had known then what I know now, what I would do differently. Well, if I knew then what I knew now, I would have focused more on my future professionally. I think in college, I was trying to just figure out myself, what I liked, what I didn't like. At first I thought, law was, a career path for me, and not because I couldn't do the work, but I realized that I just wasn't really passionate about it. I loved things like history. I loved English. It was my major, as was political science. So those were the things that I really liked, and they were geared more towards communicating and being a communicator. And what I mean when I say focus more on my future, by that I mean picking a specific career and developing those skill sets. And I didn't figure out until later on, several years later, or I should say several years ago, that communications was really something that I was passionate about. When I thought back about some of the classes that I took in college and some of the work that I had done after college, they all had this path, and it was really all communications, but my eyes wasn't really open to that as of yet. So it took some time, which you will see as well, to figure out what you really wanted to do. Like I said, I held various positions, but none of them was really specific to a career choice. And as I said a few minutes ago, it was not until several years ago that I realized that working in communications was something that I really enjoyed doing, and that is what I really wanted to do. Honestly, I think making those choices begin in college. So, not just, taking this class or taking that class, which honestly you should do to figure out what it is that you really like, but pay attention to what you're gravitating towards. And that will be a good indicator of, what you're really passionate about. And also focus in on where you want to end up professionally as well. That's important. That's a great start. For me, I would have thought more about what I wanted to do and focus on developing those skills, and perhaps it wouldn't have taken me so long to figure out that communications was something that I do really enjoy and something that I was passionate about. I'd also like to talk with you about, what are my leadership values and beliefs, how I see them now, and, how I see that and how it aligns to social responsibility as a leader. So personally, as a leader, I live by the motto, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. It is something that my grandparents taught me at a very young age. They were ministers. And it is something that I have done my best to live by to this day. While I understand the company's bottom line, we're in this business, to make money, to generate revenue. That's how you keep, the ship running. And I understand how, strategies align. That's all good and well. But I also understand that as a leader, you're not just, you can't treat people as just employees, but as people, living, breathing people with families, with hopes and dreams. They spend probably 90%, I'm sure that's not accurate, but they spend a great deal of time with you in this company, perhaps so more than they do their families. So it's important to treat them as people and respect them as people, as opposed to just employees that come in every day and do the work. They're not machines and should not be treated as machines. And as I want to be respected, and as you want to be respected as a leader, so will your employees want to be respected as people. They will make mistakes in the same way that you will make mistakes. But also they will also be successful as well. So, it's a process, and again, it's the main point of that, and what I'm trying to say is just treat people as people. As a leader, you'll also get more out of those you lead when you respect the differences in opinions and just the differences in general that everyone brings to the table. Taking a hard line, it never works. At the same time, there should be boundaries that should be set and should be put in place to avoid, situations that can create turmoil and dissent and disruptions within, your organization and your group. Technically, being socially responsible means that people and organizations must behave ethically and with sensitivity towards social, cultural, economic, and environmental issues. So that's a technical definition, right? And this can include the engagement of each person towards the community where he or she lives, which can be expressed as an interest towards, what's happening in the community, as well as an active participation. So, being more involved in the community that you're in and helping to solve some of the local problems. As an example of social responsibility, I can say, my company has a foundation, a charitable foundation. It's separate from the company itself. So it's a different board of directors, it's a different leadership. It's run separately from the company and the business itself. And the focus in that foundation is being, active in the community, participating in the community you're in. So we do scholarship programs. We do something called Healthy Cities, Challenge, where we get communities involved in, being active and being more health conscious, for them. So we do a lot of things. We do community gardens, we sponsor local schools or local charities. We do any various amount of things. We don't just run the business. We're not just the business in the community, but we're partners in helping the community to grow and helping them through their issues, and that's important. Well, for me, a leader that is socially responsible, they will have certain qualities. These can include respect, as I talked about earlier, respecting individuals. It can easily look up to and respect you as a leader if you respect them, as I said before. And also being a compassionate communicator. With your mutual respect, your communication style will be inspiring. And those that you are leading will feel empowered, to step up and to speak up. Now, social responsibility also means that as a leader, you are not only concerned with making profit, but you also focus on being responsible for the development of the employees or the followers, that you have. It is not all about how smart you are, what top-notch MBA school you graduated from, or what college you graduated from, but it's important that you are not ignoring certain moral values and decency and integrity of those who follow you and of yourself as well. It can also mean, adjusting your decision-making strategies to be more in line with your own personal values and morals, while also respecting the values of those who follow you. It is important to understand that initially, and I think I would be remiss not to say that all of this sounds good and well, but it's not easy. But it's important to understand that initially embracing your social responsibility as a leader, it will definitely, and it may, I should probably say it may, prove very challenging, perhaps more challenging than you think. And working through these challenges will allow you to become a stronger leader. So, what are my recommendations on how to look at your career choices, especially leadership skills and roles? Now, as you think about your own career choices and future leadership role, I recommend that your career choice should be something that you really enjoy. It should be something that you are passionate about. If not, you will find yourself waking up every morning and dreading going into work. And that will lead to a very miserable life. Your personal life will suffer, your family life will suffer, and you don't want that. You want to be happy going into work every morning. You want to, be inspired. You want to be creative. You want to be productive. And so once you find a career that you are passionate about, I recommend finding a mentor. I really think that's key. And as I said earlier, I really didn't discover the value in the mentee-mentor relationship until several years ago. Once I decided, this is what I really wanted to focus on career-wise, that being communications. And I recommend that you find someone that has been in that field for perhaps more than 10 years. And you can learn from that person. So learn as much as you can from them. Engage with them a couple times a month, an hour at the very most, and have a conversation. Find out what are some of the things that they have learned along the way. What were some of the challenges that they faced and how they overcame them. I would say not to focus on money first. So don't, I understand, in our economy and the world that we live in right now, it's very difficult, in the business, it's very difficult professionally. And I understand the need to, want to earn a living. And that's all good and well. And that will come eventually. But focus early in your career on building your skill sets. You will find that to be the most valuable thing that you can do for yourself in the future. You will be sought after as someone that is knowledgeable, someone that has experience, and that's what you want to do. You want to build your skill sets in your career field. Create a reputation for yourself as someone that works hard, that is dedicated, that is committed, that is compassionate, and someone that is respected. And you will find that, it will take you to the salary that you want in the end, if that's important to you. Being in a leadership role can be rewarding, but it is also very hard work. You have to be committed. You have to be a committed leader. You have to be willing and ready to make hard decisions. You have to be prepared to hurt someone's feelings. And sometimes you may not, it's not intentional, but it's what's required as a leader. And there are times that it's going to be unavoidable, but it is necessary to move not just the business forward, but your group forward, Finally, don't use your leadership position to bully others. That doesn't make you a leader. You're just a bully. And you don't want to be a bully. No one wants to be a bully. And as I talked about earlier in the video, have an open door policy. As a follower, for me, I know that was really something that was good for me. I felt comfortable talking to those leaders that I was, reporting to, when I can just step into their office and say, hey, I have this issue, can you help me? Or just have a regular conversation, or step into their office and say, hey, do you want to grab lunch? Do you want to, just go for a walk? And have regular conversations, build a relationship with your followers or your employees that report to you. That's important. I think what you find in doing so is that you'll get, people that respect you, that will work hard for you, that will be committed to you, and that will always see you as someone that they can come to and that will help them. And that's important. Well, that's the end of, my video. But I just really wanted to say that I wish you guys the best in your undergraduate experience. I know how it was for me. It's rough. It's hard. And, some people might think it's silly, but it really is difficult, especially if you're away from your families. But, just take every opportunity that is presented to you to learn. And as I said earlier, it will definitely pay dividends when, it comes time to make, a career choice. Well, thank you guys, and enjoy the rest of your college days.